and speech, I may think of God and serve him, that with my eyes I may hear, with my ears I may hear the singing of God's name and glories, and that with my hands I may serve Hari and his devotees, that with my eyes I may behold his form and his devotees. Your eyes fill with tears when you utter the name of God. What then do you have to worry about? Divine love has grown in you. To know many things is ajnana, ignorance. To know only one thing is jnana, knowledge, the realization that God alone is real and that he dwells in all. And to talk to him is vijnana, a fuller knowledge. To love God in different ways after realizing him is vijnana. It's also said that God is beyond one and two. He's beyond speech and mind. To go up from the lila to the nitya and come down again from the nitya to the lila is mature bhakti. I love that song of yours about aspiring to reach the lotus feet of the Divine Mother. It is enough to know that everything depends on the grace of God. But one must pray to God. It will not do to remain inactive. The lawyer gives all his arguments and finishes his pleading by saying to the judge, I've said all I have to say. Now the decision rests with your honor. After a few minutes, Sri Ramakrishna said to Nilkanta, you sang so much in the morning, and now you've taken the trouble to come here. But here, everything is honorary. Nilkanta, why so? Master smiling, I know what you will say. Nilkanta, I shall get a precious gem from here. Master, you already have that precious gem. What will you gain by adding again the letter A to Ka? If you didn't have the gem, should I like your song so much? Ram Prasad had attained divine realization. That is why his songs appeal so much. I had already planned to hear your music. Later on, Niyogi too came here to invite me. The master was sitting on the small couch. He told Nilkanta that he would like to hear a song or two about the Divine Mother. Nilkanta sang 2 songs with his companions. When the master heard the second song, he stood up and went into samadhi. Presently, he began to dance in an ecstasy of divine love. Nilkanta and the devotees sang and danced around him. Then Nilkanta sang a song about Shiva, and the master danced with the devotees. After the singing was over, Sri Ramakrishna said to Nilkanta, I should like to hear that song of yours I first heard in Calcutta. M. About Sri Gauranga? Master, yes, yes. Nilkanta sang the song. The beautiful Gauranga, the youthful dancer, fair as molten gold. Sri Ramakrishna sang again and again the line, everything is swept away by the onrush of love, and danced with Nilkanta and the other devotees. Those who saw that indescribable dancing were never to forget it. The room was filled with people, all intoxicated with divine joy. It seemed as if Chaitanya himself were dancing with his companions.
Yeah.
Is that good? Okay.
Generally, Sri Ramakrishna would encourage all, but here it is a special case, as I understand, because Nilkanta was highly evolved singer, and when he sang, he used to sing, then the tears flow through his eyes. So this that shows that he had developed that love, and Sri Ramakrishna also appreciated that he loved his songs. So this is what we have just now read, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and there Sri Ramakrishna highlights achieving love of God is the goal of life. So now we have Swami Arupeshananda ji. So I request him to talk about something about Holy Mother.
Okay, but I want to say something about the reading first. Is that
Yes, yes, yes.
Because it's fresh in my mind.
Hmm.
So, this particular section has always been very interesting to me because the master, first goes into samadhi. As soon as the musicians come in, the master goes into samadhi. And then all these people just show up
Yeah.
like some flower has just bloomed and somehow something has drawn them into the room. And I remember when I was a little kid, very little, less than 7, but Swami Arupeshananda was, I was 7 when he passed away.
Okay, before that,
Yeah, no?
let me
Okay.
little introduce you. You know, in fact, he's the product of the Vedanta Society in the West. His father was initiated, mother was initiated by Swami Prabhupada. So he was born in in Hollywood Center, as it were.
Right.
So, so then after education, then he joined the order. So we are very happy that is the first some product of the spiritual living. You know, we need a good household.
Oh, okay, I can do that.
So householders, that then only, actually householders are the source of every resources.
And monastics too.
No, monastic. Say money will come from.
No. I mean, they're the source of monastics also.
That is
the
what I'm
householders.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's
so I'm
what
starting with money,
Right. Yeah.
resources, all kinds of resources.
Yeah.
So first resource is say money. Second, say food. That will also come from there. And then not only that, even the monks also will come from
Yeah.
there. So that's why we don't denigrate.
Right.
So that's why we are very happy that he's here. Okay, now.
So, we were in Hollywood when I was a little kid. And I should just add, Maharaj, that I'm also a product of this place. I started coming here.
Right.
a
That's
long
also
time
there.
ago, so it's not entirely Hollywood that is to blame for me.
Because he was initiated by Swami Arupeshananda.
Right.
And when he was a kid of 10 years.
Amazing.
So, but I understand that you also were a disciple of Swami P.
Yes.
You're Maureen's brother, right?
Right,
That's
right, Maureen's my
okay.
sister.
So, this is not working. How about now?
No, ওইখান লাগানো
Does
হয়নি।
that help?
Okay, you take this one.
Yeah, just take both of them.
We can hear you here.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
That's all right.
All right, all these
Better to have
microphones.
both.
I feel so important.
That's right.
Okay. So anyway, this thing about Sri Ramakrishna going into samadhi and these people that just magically seem to show up in his room because there's some spiritual vibration that they are catching. And I wonder how conscious of it they were. Did they smell something or suspect something was going on over there? It was totally silent. The master was silent. He's in samadhi, and these people just show up. Did it just occur to them in their mind, oh gosh, I wonder what's going on in Sri Ramakrishna's room? What happened? Why did they go there? Why did all these people show up? So when I was a little kid, I remember when Swami P was very old. Prabhupada, sorry, we all called him Swami P back then. Swami Prabhupada. I think he died at the age of 83, if I remember right. Something like that. Maybe it's 86 anyway. So
Born in 1893.
yeah, in 1976, and I think that works out to 83. So anyway, there would be a group of people every day, as I recall, back me up here if I'm making a mistake, that would be waiting outside his room after his nap
Sure.
just to walk around the temple with him.
Right, because his doctor told him to take brisk walks.
Right, and so, but you just wanted to breathe some of that air behind him. You were waiting for him to come out of his room and just circumambulate the temple a few times. I was a little kid, so I got to get up real close to him.
Sure.
But there was a line, I've got a photograph of this. There's a line of people behind us that are following this old man walking around the temple. Because I think they sensed maybe a little tiny bit of what these people in this story also detected. And what is that? From my own experience, I was a little kid, but I wasn't completely out to lunch. It was like magical Shangri-La, some sense of security and homecoming and belonging and I don't know what.
Just magical.
Magic, that's the
I'll call it
word,
magical.
magic. It's overused, but that's the word. And so that was the first thing I wanted to say about the reading, is that there's some kind of magic that I think we all have a receptor for. We have magic receptors. We don't know them. But when the magic happens, we're attracted by that magic somehow, and we follow it. And they followed it, I think, into Sri Ramakrishna's room. So that's the first thing. The other thing that no more? Okay.
Sri Ramakrishna explained what is this. He said this is attraction of Vidya Maya. Avidya Maya drags us down, but when there is attraction, then attraction for higher ideals, higher life. And this he explained it when he went to that a village where there day and night people would follow him. And when every time, from morning to evening, they are takuti, and then dancing and singing. So he said, this is of attraction of Vidya Maya. So when we have that kind of samskara, that is uppermost, then only we are attracted. So maybe that is the reason why what is this magical power.
Second. Yeah, okay, I remember. But now you said something, I wanted to respond to that because it reminded me of something else. And that this magical power perhaps has another side to it. I was just reading today, actually, that Swami Turiyananda, when he got off the boat to go visit Sri Ramakrishna, he said his heart would palpitate and he would tremble. And he said that it was the sins inside of his body that were trembling in the presence of this overwhelming holiness. Yeah. So the reason I bring that up now is because what Maharaj said is you had to have some kind of ability or awareness. You have to be a sadhaka, I think, to have an appreciation or an ability to be attracted or intimidated by this. Because, of course, we all know the story where the jealous priest kicked him. So not everybody is sensitive to this kind of thing. Jesus was crucified, which means not everybody got it, right? So that was to Swami's point. The second thing I wanted to say about the reading was what he says to Nilkantha. He goes into samadhi, and then he comes down, and he says, I am all right.
Right.
And Nilkantha says, make me all right too.
Right.
And I always thought when I read that, and me, make me all right too. And Sri Ramakrishna comes back with this statement that is both kind of encouraging and confusing at the same time, at least in my mind, about how Nilkantha is already all right. And he gives this illustration with grammar and adding an ah to ka and all that. So Nilkantha is already all right and doesn't know it, apparently. And so this, to me, is encouraging from a certain standpoint, because we are also, I think, probably all right. And probably there's times when we don't know it. And yet, we also know, I know many of us have been in this spiritual practice for a long time, and we also know that there is this possibility of having the heart so full of joy that there is no doubt that you are all right. There is also that possibility of having the mind elevated to such a place where the heart is full. And you wouldn't say that question. You wouldn't say, make me all right too, because your heart is full. And so Nilkantha, it seems to me, wasn't feeling that way. He was feeling perhaps maybe some dryness or something that particular day. And so on those days when we are feeling perhaps not our optimum spiritual selves, I think what we have to do is recall the lesson of experience. Just like this little section from the gospel reminded me of this ancient history from my childhood. Mm-hmm. We all have our moments in our spiritual journey that we can bring up to our conscious minds when we were joyous, elevated, maybe we were in the presence of a great soul, or maybe we just got elevated by reading some scripture, maybe we had a good meditation, maybe we had a spiritual dream, whatever it is. We had something at some time that elevated us, lifted us up, or we wouldn't be here now. Right. We wouldn't be doing this if we were getting nothing out of it. So those times when the heart is dry and we have that doubt, we can recall this exchange between Sri Ramakrishna and Nilkantha, where the master says, you're already all right. And then we can hopefully recall the lesson of experience that we have had in our own lives.
We have inklings. All the time.
Yes.
But it may not be defined. We are searching. All of us searching. But some people think that it's in money. But few money or worldly things. But some people discover this inkling is for higher goal of life. And then we are drawn to this life. So yes, he is right, because that inkling is there. Only it may not be well defined. But when they come to the Guru, then that is raised. So the Nilkantha similarly came to Sri Ramakrishna, and his inner, that emotion, and also that the holy presence or search, that was invoked. And this happened to many people. When they came to Sri Ramakrishna, then only they are the divine inspiration, that they could understand what it is, like Vijnanananda, or say even Swamiji, Narendranath, when he came to Sri Ramakrishna, then only it was rediscovered, as it were, or it was prominent, as it were. So it is already there. You are already Ka. Only that Ka is to be prominently highlighted and invoked. So in presence of Sri Ramakrishna, or for that matter, any holy company. You see, here also we have that. But as we come closer to this, then new ideas come. Then it is defined, then we can understand what it is. So, yeah, he had that samskara. That good samskara is to be raised. That is why we need satsanga. That is the purpose. Okay.
You see, this is not Hollywood.
It's not that different.
I know, but what I mean is the audio equipment.
Oh, the audio
But
equipment.
that's not
We have our days where
So,
things
do you?
don't
Okay.
work. Yeah.
No,
I hit the button.
I-
No greenness is there. Maybe it's just unplugged. Okay, I don't know what else I have to say, actually. I think I said everything. Yeah, no, this is not turning on. Yeah, that was really all I wanted to say about the reading. So I guess I could tell a personal anecdote that's kind of embarrassing. That might be fun.
Sure.
Embarrassing personal anecdote?
We can relate to it.
Okay. Well, it's a little embarrassing, but it's apropos of the subject, which is why I'm tempted to say it. This idea of Swami Turiyananda, where he has his sins sort of shaking and his heart is palpitating. It can have strange, I more or less lived in that condition with Swami Arupeshananda for like 17 years. I was terrified of him from the age of, well, maybe not that long, because I knew him 17 or 18 years. I was terrified of him from the age of about 18 to 27 when he passed away. That's when I sort of figured out who I was dealing with a little bit, and I really just lived in a kind of walked around on eggshells, I felt like. That experience can really kind of scramble your brain. And there's a monk in Hollywood who's actually a disciple of Ashokananda, not Rupananda, somebody else. And he told me a story about this that I thought was pretty good. And I'll add a bit of trivia before I start, which is that maybe some of you know this. Ashokananda and Arupeshananda took sannyas on the same day.
Oh my God.
You know this?
I didn't know that.
And they were given the same name. They were both given the name of Arupeshananda. You know this, okay.
That part, yeah.
And then Saradananda called Shivananda and said, you change it. And so then you had Ashokananda get Ashokananda. Anyway, so this other Swami is in line with Ashokananda in San Francisco. It's after the lecture, and they're all in line to greet the Swami after his lecture. And this Swami is a young man, then about 25. He's a big guy, well over 6 foot, big, strong guy. And he's got some book that he's found that he thinks is pretty good. And he shows it to the Swami. He says, Swami, you know, I'm reading this book. What do you think about this book? And Swami Ashokananda turns to him, and he said he shouted at him so loud that it blew his hair back. Just, I mean, completely like being in a wind tunnel or something. Mm-hmm. And Swami Arupeshananda also could do that. He could shout and make the windows rattle here. Mm-hmm. It was amazing what he could do. It seemed superhuman to me at the time. I thought people who yell can't do this. It feels like the whole house is shaking when he yells. Mm-hmm. So Ashokananda maybe had something like that where he did this. And this poor 25-year-old guy is getting crushed by this titan, who's tiny compared to him, but nevertheless a titan. And so after it's over, he's disoriented, and he says, does this mean I shouldn't read the book? And he wanders out to his car, to his truck, and he tries to start his car, and he can't get the key in the ignition. And he winds up having an epileptic seizure inside the car, where he has for, like he told me, for a couple of minutes, he's just flailing uncontrollably. Because the power these people have over your samskaras, he didn't turn on him and shout at him for no reason. Mm-hmm. He took initiation from Swami Ashokananda. He's his disciple. Wow. So there was some kind of karmic cleansing that goes on, and this can really rattle your cage. So I'll tell you about me getting my cage rattled and just how stupid I was in response to it. You know, I was, do you know this? You know this. You probably know the story I'm going to tell. She was here at the time. So, well, she's already laughing. Are you really going to tell that one? Anyway, yeah, I'm going to tell it. So I've been living in I moved in the monastery in San Diego when I was 20. And very young, I was in college, and I'm enthusiastic about spiritual life. Oh boy, we're going to study and be spiritual, and wow, this is great. And so then I come to Portland at, I think it was Christmas break. It's like 1988 or something, or 89 maybe. And I'm really excited about Holy Mother. I think Holy Mother is just all that. And I think I've got this wonderful guru who's going to be a disciple of Holy Mother. He's going to tell me about Holy Mother at Christmas. And I just got the Atman. That's what I got. I got non-duality, Advaita Vedanta. That's night after night Advaita Vedanta. That was what we got. No Holy Mother. And I was disappointed. So I remember I went to him in the pantry. He was doing one of his mysterious things that he did in the pantry, chopping fruits. You never really knew what he was doing in there, but he was doing something in the pantry. And what I wanted to say was, Swami, can you please tell us something about Holy Mother? That's what I wanted to say. And what came out of my mouth was, I don't want to hear about the Atman anymore.
Ooh. Oh my God.
That's what came out of my mouth.
Interesting.
That was not what I intended to say. I intended to say, Swami, I'd like to hear about Holy Mother in your next lecture. That's what I wanted to say. Mm-hmm. And this other thing came out of my mouth. It was embarrassing, but it's true. You get in one of these situations with one of these strong spiritual personalities, and your brain can get a little scrambled. So this thing comes out of my mouth, and I realized what I'd said, and I watched his body language, and his back kind of arched, and he turned. It's, I don't know if you ever saw that movie Star Wars, where there's those giant spacecraft things that like turn on one of those little spacecrafts and start to try and destroy it. It was like that. I was like one of these tiny little creatures, and this giant destroyer spacecraft has decided to focus its attention on me and crush me to death. And he did. Get out, ungrateful. I just went on and it went on. All night he shouted at me. On and on he shouted at me. And I thought, I'd never really been scolded before. Because I was kind of thin-skinned. I couldn't really take it. And I think he knew that, because there were other people that he just hammered on from day one. Mm-hmm. There were some people that hardly got their foot in the door, and he's already banging on their heads when they don't even know who he is. Hilarious story. I can't not tell this, even though I'm getting sidetracked. He's having a lecture here, he's speaking, and someone comes in late. He did not like this when people came in late. And sometimes people left early, and he didn't like that either. He would stop the lecture and start scolding Americans. You people are rude, and he would do that in the middle of a lecture. Yeah, you Americans are ungrateful and rude, and you have no, and on he would go. So this person comes in late, and he's at the door, he starts going at him. You sit here, and he starts like this. You know this one. It's a delivery man.
Yeah.
It's a delivery man. And he was so terrified that he sat in the chair just like he was told and took his scolding. But he was like UPS or something. Hilarious. Anyway, so the power...
You have to sit throughout the whole lecture.
I think he stayed the whole lecture.
I think he stayed for the whole lecture. He was too afraid to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I was getting this. I was getting crushed, and I felt like I'd lost everything. I felt like my life was over. I felt like my guru was going to give me up. And it was this wonderful guru who was this disciple of Holy Mother. And now basically I had no place in this world. I felt like everything had fallen apart. I had nothing left to live for. I was, 20 or whatever, but this is how I felt. I've ruined my life. And so what Swami did is, he didn't stop with me. He marched around the house and told everybody else what an ungrateful fool I was. So it went on, and he told all the monks, and for months afterwards, a boy came here and he said, I don't want to hear about the Atman anymore. I mean, I was lecture material for months after this. But anyway, that night, after he's done, with this nuclear bomb that went off, I went into the shrine and just full prostration, sobbing on the floor. That's what I did, just sobbed.
Well done.
Yeah, well, I had no choice. I just felt like my life was ruined, and I had no, just God save me was where I was. And by the grace of the Divine Mother, he walks in and finds me in this condition. He finds me in this pathetic condition and he feels sorry for me. I didn't know that at the time. But I'm lying on the floor like this and sobbing, and in walks, the door slams open. He never tried to be quiet when you open the doors. Bam, the door's open. And so then he starts stammering. When the love welled up in him, he would stammer. Mm-hmm. It was something to see. There were moments when the love would some kind of inner transformation would happen, and this love thing would come out, and he would start this stammering where he could hardly talk. It was really quite a sight. And so he starts stammering and stammering and stammering, and finally, under all these stammers, he says, "You can stay." And I thought, I wonder what he means. Does he mean I can stay in the shrine right now? Or I thought he meant I could stay right now. Or maybe he means I can stay here. I don't have to go home, So I thought, I'm too scared of him right now to stay in the shrine, so I'm leaving. And so I got up and I left. And the next morning at breakfast, he comes down. And of course, everyone in the house, were all the monks and Mr. Bush and Mr. Thomas were all there at the table. And I don't know, for those of you who don't know them, they lived here for years. I think Shanti was maybe, I can't remember if Shanti is Swami Arupeshananda. I can't remember if he was still here or not. But Sarada, of course, was here. He was probably here. I think Shanti was here too. And so we're all there at the table. And Swami comes in and does this super fast chant. Om Hari Om Brahma, Pranam Brahma, Vera Brahma, Gano Brahma. He does it just like that, as fast as, and we just watch him. We can't possibly keep up. And then after that, he looks at me and says, "Well, Chand, everything is the same now." And he leaves. And Mr. Bush turns to me and he says, "That's as close to an apology as I've ever heard Swami say." And from that point on, he figured it out. I guess he knew what happened, that I was just said a stupid thing that I didn't mean to say. And later on he said, "Next time just say, I want to hear about Holy Mother." I said, "Yes, Swami, I'm really sorry, But so this is the reason I bring up this embarrassing story, is because of this idea of these samskaras in the presence of these holy people. I didn't want to say something so stupid. I was young and stupid, because we're young and stupid, but I wasn't that stupid. I was in college and I was studying and all that. I was thoughtful, but somehow when you're in the presence of one of these very spiritual beings, sometimes you just don't think straight. And eventually, of course, everything settles down, and so I didn't do anything that stupid again. That's for sure. Yeah.
Maybe it's whatever came out from your mouth, that may not be intentional, but this situation was very essential. In our spiritual life, we get such situations. If we are not scolded, the inner light does not come. So that is required for unfoldment. So it is good that you did it. Yeah. So some people are not scolded, and then they become swollen-headed. And if you say something, then they are upset. But that gives us a humility, and how we approach our gurus, how we ask questions. So these are the training. Otherwise we are say like raw. We are not polished enough. So that's why these are also essential in our spiritual life. That's very good. You did this.
And I think that's a good point, that some of these things that we do that seem so foolish at the time actually turn out to be, as Swami Vivekananda says, angels unawares.
Yeah, and see, you remember this situation, this incident, and that way, and not only he himself was, he scolded you, but he informed everybody.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But here, people think, you have to say silently, but sometimes it is required. The situation demands like that. So anyway, Ashishanji did very well, you also did very well.
Well, I think the part of it was also that before this, I thought everybody else, not everybody, but a lot of other people get scoldings and I don't. This thought was in my mind.
This is the real reason.
Well, and see, he used to ignore me. That's what he would do. He would, we would all be in there with the prasad after he'd cut up the prasad and put it on these plates and hand it out. And he would call out the names. He would call out Mr. Bush, and this is Mr. Bush's plate, and then Sarda Chaitanya, he would get his, and he'd call out all the names and hand out all these little plates of prasad. He would forget me. And he didn't forget anybody else, but he would forget me. Now, this was something that, of course, did not go unnoticed by me, and I thought, I'm not getting scolded, I'm getting ignored. So I think that might have contributed to my foolish statement, is wanting to get some kind of attention from Swami. I sure did. And I never wanted that again. But like Maharaj says also, these foolish things that we do, and I was so unhappy about, years later now, I can share it with you, and it's kind of heartwarming. And if you get in one of these situations where you say something awkward, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's these things happen, and spiritual life, things that seem like they're maybe embarrassing or difficult, down the line turn out to be kind of charming. So I guess, I don't know, should I talk about something else?
Sure.
How do you want the time?
It's almost 8:30.
8:30. So any question, anyone?
Do you have any reminiscences of Swami Arupeshananda in Hollywood?
Oh, well, he just, not really. I mean, I know he's still alive, as you know. He's.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
So he was there when you were there.
Yeah.
In Hollywood, when you were a kid.
Yeah. Right. There was Swami P, and then there was everything else when I was a kid.
Exactly.
I mean, that was kind of, the rest of them were all just tall people.
Yes.
Swami Prabhupada, somehow, I don't know, it just seemed different with him.
I remember you in the Hollywood Temple, and you're there, and Swami P comes up to you and says, "You have to be more of a rascal. You have to do a little more mischievous." And your mom seems to go, "Swami, don't say that to him." It was so funny. I never forgot.
There was this other little boy, Rockall.
Oh yeah, Rockall.
You remember Rockall?
Oh sure.
So a different Rockall, not that Rockall. Yeah. No, this was Butch Turcotte's son. Anyway, Rockall was my age, and Swami Pete kept telling me, "Go beat him up." I was 6, and the other boy I think was 5, and Swami Pete wanted me to go beat him up.
See that? Be more of a rascal.
Pretty funny. And then there was one, I guess maybe I should say this one too, because it's genuinely the other side of being in close proximity to a spiritual personality like this. And that is, it was after Swami was passing here. It was, I think, 1995 probably. It was Christmas. And Mr. Thomas had a hernia in his stomach, and he couldn't do it anymore. And so it was just so happened that he ran out of gas right before I came here. So I got to sort of get the baton from Mr. Thomas and sleep in Swami's room and take him to the bathroom, and that kind of personal care I gave to him. I took him downstairs, upstairs, all that. So when I got here to do this, I wasn't in a very good place mentally, I would say. I was at UCLA, I was a grad student. I think I'd been kind of slacking off in my practice, and my mind was not, I was kind of, just not feeling very spiritual. I was feeling kind of dry. It was a dry period. We have these things in spiritual life. I was going through a dry period, I would say. And so I spent Christmas break, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks here taking care of Swami. And what was amazing to me, it was completely transformational. It completely changed my state of mind. I'll give you an example. I was in that kitchen in the front. I forget what we used to call it.
The men's kitchen.
Men's kitchen? Okay. So we were there, and I was so full of joy that I could hardly control myself. After coming here kind of depressed and grumpy about lab work at UCLA, after about a week, I was so blissed out that I hardly made any sense. And Swami, there was something we had to do. I don't remember what it was. There was some chore, some task at hand. And I thought to myself, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to volunteer for that. And then I heard this, again, I heard the words come out, I'll do that.
Right.
I heard myself volunteer for it. And I thought, who said that?
Right.
I don't want to do this.
Right.
But the joy just pushed this unselfishness out of me that I didn't have. It wasn't me. The me that I know said, I don't want to do that. I have other plans today. But the joy just pushed out, I'll do it. And then something else happened like that where I didn't want to, they asked me some question, I was started to calculate about something, like I don't want to answer that or I want to say this or that. And the truth was just pushed out of my mouth. And I thought, who said this? You know, there's this other influence that he had, where your mind is elevated to such a state where you can't help but be unselfish. You can't help but tell the truth. And what I learned after this is that afterwards, this doesn't last, at least for me. You come back down to earth with a thud and you crash on the ground, and it took me several weeks to return to my normal grumpy UCLA lab work states. And I found that this is not just me. Swami, I'm sure in this case it was probably a much more profound experience. Swami Ashokananda said that when the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna were alive, when they were walking around Bellarmine, Shivananda, Brahmananda, Premananda, these amazing people, these incredible spiritual, you never get to meet these guys kinds of people. They're walking around Bellarmine, he said, all of us felt like we were walking on air, and we all thought we were super spiritual people. We all thought we'd attained this high level of spirituality. And he said, when these men passed, we fell down to planet Earth with a thud. He said this in one of his lectures. Mm-hmm. And even Holy Mother, if you can imagine how much more maybe that might have been, I don't know, but one of her attendants, or no, it was one of her disciples, came to her and said, gee, you know, these attendant monks and brahmacharis that you have around you, they seem pretty happy. You know, like it's a little weird how happy these people seem. And Mother said, they are living near me, so they are intoxicated.
It's like
they are
you-
living near me, so
Yeah.
they are intoxicated. She said, they cannot understand it now.
but they will.
Later on, they will understand. What does it mean? In other words, later on, they're going to come down to earth with a thud.
Yeah.
And now you think about, try and project even further. Sri Ramakrishna's monastic disciples, that proximity they had to this nuclear bomb of spirituality, how close they were to that, and serving it day and night, what the elevation they must have felt. And then when Sri Ramakrishna dropped the body, that the thud that they must have come down to planet Earth with, no wonder they lived the lives that they did. They desperately wanted to get that back, and they performed the most intense austerities. Mm-hmm. You know, you can imagine why. You've got something so good, and then you realize that you're back in this world again, and you think, I've got to get back to that. And you know, I do think that we all understand this at some level. I do think that, and I think that's why we're here. And I think that's why we go to the shrine and sing these songs and do our jopam, because we're trying to get back to that, because as Vedanta says, this is what's really inside of us. This joy and elevation and truth and unselfishness. That's what's inside of us. And we know it somehow.
So it's not a third.
Yeah. No, we've experienced it. That's, you know.
The thing is, we don't, see, suppose we see a truth. We cannot forget it.
Right. Exactly.
Whatever we experience, that willy-nilly, that is retained within us. It may be covered for time being, but that when time comes, it will flourish. So this is, it's not end of the world. Rather, that is the incentive that we receive from the higher beings, so that we are inspired to follow that path. That's why we need to cultivate the lives of holy and divine people, those who have realized. And even this cultivation is very important, because it is auspicious to hear and propitious if it is inculcated in one's life. Say Rama, story of Rama and Sita, age old. Every time we listen, it is so pleasing. It gives so much of joy that we cannot forget. Because that is the inherent nature of us. And whenever we go through their lives, we enliven those moments. Say, Sri Krishna, love personified. So he is like a star of the world, not only in India. But whenever we think about Sri Krishna, all those ideals come. And he was a practical person also, how to deal in this world, how to be detached while performing action. Yogeshwara. So all these are the ideals that we have. And when we come closer to them, then the inherent divinity that manifests within us. So that's why we need to have satsanga, so that we cultivate this divinity within us. Any question from the say Zoom devotees?
Online? Or in here?
Yeah, Akshay is there today. Okay.
Akshay's there?
Anything he wants? Okay. So today we'll conclude here. Very nice satsang. So tomorrow,
Swami Arupeshananda?
yes.
That's David.
Yeah.
It's a little loud.
Hi. What
That's David
What-
Leventer.
David, remember?
what did you
I know that voice. Okay.
what did you study in college? In your do I remember right? You got physics?
Yeah.
Okay, the thing is, that these personal questions, you have to come here.
Okay.
can't
Well, I
ask
was
him on
thinking because of Akshay.
Okay, yes, no, Akshay asks good questions. Okay. So we'll say our prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tassat Sri Ramakrishna